G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for being here watching my content. As always, it is my pleasure and privilege to talk about the greatest game in the world, rugby. And it wouldn't be the greatest sporting event in the world without some heart-pounding, heart attack-inducing, almost upset from this Rugby World Cup. This would have been a bigger upset, in my opinion, than the Brighton Miracle, right? If Uruguay had beaten the French team, this would probably be bigger than that, because the French is actually the hosts of the Rugby World Cup. They have home crowd advantage, and for the majority of the game, the home crowd was like just in disbelief how the game was turning out for the French. Eventually, they did win this game. Going into this match, prior to this match, I think most people in the world, 99% of people in this world, would have thought that France will walk out of this game with a bonus point win, and Uruguay might get a consolation point, and everybody's just gonna get not a consolation point, a consolation try. Everyone's just gonna applaud the effort and call that a day, right? No, France did not get a bonus point win. Uruguay was truly hanging in there all the way till the end, and the French did put on the B team. But keep in mind, this is the B team, the French B team. This is the B team that traveled to Australia a couple years ago and almost won the series against Australia. They only lost 2 out of the 3 games by less than a goal kick. And then this is also the B team that went on to almost upsetting England in their prime under Eddie Jones in the Autumn Nations Cup. I think it was called Autumn Nations Cup. There was a tournament played in autumn due to the pandemic. And this is the B team that almost upset England in a full strength England team in that tournament. And is it a case where the teams really just underestimated Uruguay, or is this the case where underprepared for Uruguay? It did look like the French kind of just went out there and just tried to play the game the way they do in training. Essentially, there was a lot of mistakes. The scrum was horrendous by the French. Both teams were not great. The penalty was just going left and right. It's just 50-50 call, whichever way the penalty could be going. The lineouts wasn't very clinical for the French team. They did able to spoil some of the Uruguay lineouts by their own maul, or stifled a number of times. The French attacking game was just again, the handling errors was so numerous in this match. They did find some good space when they did get some momentum, but there was just constant stoppage. There was no able to get any momentum in the game. And obviously that big moment, what is his name? Romain Tafa-Noah getting a yellow card. I think that should be a red. Yeah, he charged into the Uruguay player with his arm tucked and straight to the head. And in fact, I have a screenshot saved here. I'm just gonna see. Let me just quickly get this up, so then you guys can see what I'm talking about. And it's one of those things where I actually don't know what's going on here. This should be in any sort of this should be a red card, because we've seen a tackle like this many times, and for some reason, the bunker has determined that this was not a red, okay? Arm tucked right here. Arm tucked. This is not considered a wrap in any shape or form. The player is ducking a little bit due to the tackle by CQ, but he's Tafa-Noah is in no position to. He's made no attempt to wrap the player straight to the head. So, I mean, if this is just a yellow card, I would like to see some consistency. I don't mind this being a yellow card if this is consistent. If something like this happens again and they call this a yellow card, then great, right? But we've seen this again and again and again where a red card is issued. Okay, this is just, this is a straight shoulder to the head with no wrap. So I don't know what's going on here, but he might get cited after the game. But we'll have to see how this goes. But yeah, he only got away with the yellow card. I have this screenshot now, so if something like this happens again in another match and it's a red card, we can talk about that in another time. But I'm happy that as long as they're consistent, but according to the current guidelines, that should be a red card. So yeah, again, I really felt that is another massive issue from the refereeing. being exposed. And obviously, the referee today was Ben O'Keefe. I think he did a pretty good job on the field. It was the TMO that decided that this was not a red card, due to the player being tackled as a mitigating factor, even though there was no wrap and shoulder directly to the head. So yeah, really just. I think World Rugby needs to do something to tidy up the referees a little bit. The Uruguay, I thought, did really well in the defense. That's something that I'll call by surprise. The French attack was pretty smooth and ruthless at times, and Uruguay was able to again and again force penalties, force knock-ons. They were able to just defend the try line with ferocity, and overall their tackle completion rate is really good. Like world-class tier 1 nations level of defense out of the Uruguay team. Sometimes I kind of was thinking during the game, is it a bad performance by the French team because the fact that they starting to overly rely on key players like Antoine Dupont? I mean, there's no reason for this French team to be this poorly, and I feel like maybe the French is just starting to taking, overly reliant on some of their key players, and once you take those key players out, because all the other players that are on the field has been trained to play around Antoine Dupont, right? And if Antoine Dupont is not on the field, suddenly everybody's kind of just, winging it, right? That's kind of what it looked like to me. Like, everybody was kind of just like trying to figure out what to do, just doing kind of like basic training stuff, and then everybody's kind of like not expecting the passes here and there, and then leading to drop balls and mistakes. That's what it looks like to me. But let me know your thoughts on why the French team was really poor this game. So yeah, let's go have a look at some of the stats. 406 drum meters to the Uruguay's 280, 103 carries for French, 87 for Uruguay. Uruguay actually beat more defenders, with 18 defenders beaten to the French 13. Turnovers conceded again. Uruguay actually did better here. French conceded 13 turnovers to Uruguay's 12. Tackles made, very good for both teams. 18 missed tackles with French out of 100. 89 tackles made. 13 missed tackles with Uruguay. Very well done for Uruguay, especially against one of the best attacking teams in the world right now. Kicks in play, the French was managing the kicking game slightly better than Uruguay, but I didn't think there was a clear advantage to the way the kicking game was played. I did think that the Uruguay's attack actually looked a little bit better than the French attack, to be really frank with you. Like the way that the Uruguay shift the ball, finding their space with their, with a what do they call it, loopy runner from behind sort of thing, was actually quite dangerous. And and the French wasn't able to read the defensive line, at times, leading into a lot of defensive errors in the French team. Conversions, there was one conversion missed from very far away by Jaminet, but overall this was pretty good kick again for the fullback. The Uruguay did miss their first conversion right from the sideline. The goal kicker looked a bit looked like he was a little bit under pressure. But the second kick was also from the sideline. He slotted that one through right down the center, which was really good. The lineouts was the French did have to spoil some of the lineouts, but their own lineouts was very ineffective. Like they set up a maul. The maul was stopped a number of times due to both basically they dropping the balls themselves, or the maul getting just snuffed out by the very good defense from Uruguay. So that's again something that the French would be very disappointed. Scrum lost 3-3. This is just something that I think Fabien Galtier will be pulling out his hair. The scrum was just so messy. The Uruguay got penalized so many times for hinging, which means you're basically pulling down the opposition scrum. So that is, they got penalized a lot for that. And the French got penalized for early push so many times, again and again, just getting penalized for early push. It was just really messy. Penalties conceded, this was, like I said, really bad for both teams. Probably more of an issue for the French. 15 penalties conceded, 16 against Uruguay. A lot of those penalties were scrum penalties, and just really not clinical enough. There was, times where you kind of just like scratching your head going, like very like amateurish errors out of the French team that should not have happened. So let's go for a quick recap of the game. 5 minutes into the game, actually, the French actually got the first points on the board. 3 minutes into the game, they get their first penalty. and they opt to take the 3 points, which I kind of agree. You kind of want to just settle your nerves a little bit, get the first points on the board, and get the game going. Germany slots this one 3 points to nil, but immediately the Uruguay gets themselves in the front foot. 5 minutes into the game, some nice straight running from the Uruguay inside setter, number 12, gets Uruguay kind of like close to the 22-meter line. The ball comes out, the number 10, crossfield kick, and I think this was Germany try to catch the ball in a really awkward position. The ball kind of like, he kind of loses control of the ball, and then the Uruguay winger, Nicolas Ferreita, kind of like kicks the ball forward and grounds this one for the first try for Uruguay. Uruguay actually leading 5 points to 3, 5 minutes into the game. 11 minutes into the game, the French had a scrum set piece play inside the Uruguay 22. The ball just comes out. The number 9, Luku, gets the ball and just throws a nice little pass to Hastoi, who was looping around and finds himself in a nice gap. Runs in for the first try for France. Hastoi, the number 10, gets the first try. France take the scoreboard up 10 points to 5. 14 minutes into the game, one of the Uruguay players gets penalized for taking out a player without a ball. French kicks this one 13 points to 5. 26 minutes into the game, Taufik Fanua gets a yellow card. I already showed you the screenshot I took. Very obviously red. I think it's a red, but the TMO deemed there was just a yellow. 33 minutes into the game, following this yellow card with a player advantage on the field, it looked like Uruguay scored this one. They had this really nice set play where they had 10, 12 lining up in an attack line. It looked like the 10 had an option at 12 right next to him, and then the ball gets looped behind. And then there was a loop runner from behind that cuts through the defensive line. The Uruguay looks like the Uruguay scored a try there, but the referee watched the replay. The number 12, that was the dummy runner, runs into a defense player, and the referee said that was no try. And just before halftime, the French try to put some pressure on the Uruguay game and try to get a try before halftime. This is just really, really, really bad, poorly executed. They had like a scrum inside the Uruguay 10. I thought there could be a scrum penalty to the French here, but the referee said both sides went down at the same time. So the ball comes out, goes to the center. The French crash ball center field, and then Makalou picks up the ball and he runs into Anthony Jellock on his way. Obstruction, penalty, and then Uruguay gets out of jail from that, and that was half-time. Second half in the game, 48 minutes in, there was pretty bit of a stale in the first 8 minutes or so. France finally get a penalty quite far out, like over 50 meters, and Germany misses this one. 53 minutes into the game, Uruguay gets their second try on the board. They had some really nice running down the center of the field and draw a lot of the French defenders in. You can see there was a lot of French defenders just hanging around the rocks, and it was just like the backs as well. It was like you look at around the rocks, it was like the 12 and 13 being pillar and post right next to the rock, something that shouldn't be the case. And then the French just like, oh yeah, let's move out. There's space out wide. Sure enough, it was a bit too late. The ball gets spread out, and then the ball once again the ball gets looped to an out back ball to Amaya, who runs to a little gap, and then he had Moefana comes across to try to tackle him, kind of like shrugged him off, and then goes into the corner for the second try for Uruguay. The conversion was good, so suddenly the score is closed down to 1 point, 13 points to 12. Who would have thought 53 minutes into the game, France will be only leading this game by 1 point? Yeah, straight from the kickoff, Uruguay makes a massive mistake to try to kick the ball, clearance kick the ball out, and the ball hits their own player. And the ball gets bounced back, and Movaka, the reserve hooker, chases the ball down, regathers for the French, and then grounds the ball in goal for a freebie, 20 points to 12. The French, 62 minutes of the game, again, this is another coach killer moment. France was 5 meters out from the Uruguay try line, and I'm pretty sure they had a penalty to go for a line out, but instead they opt for a scrum, which was already surprising because the scrum has been 50-50. So they go for the scrum, and then the French gets penalized, losing their own scrum for losing the bind on the tight hair side. No, on the loose hair side. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know why they even went for this option. And then, yeah, Uruguay diffuses the danger. Really didn't have to do much there to get out of danger there. 72 minutes into the game, finally the French was getting a little bit more momentum. Some very good hand. You look like the French really wanted to put the hammer down to the finish of the game strong. Some very nice hands. The ball kind of like went really quick hands to the number 10 Hastoy, I think, and then he quickly pops the ball behind ball to I think another player behind him, and then the ball was thrown quickly over the top to Bieri on the wing. There was a mad open space, and he goes in for the third and final try for the French team, 27-12. Just before the full time, Makalu looked like he scored again for the French. The ball was in a ruck, and Makalu kicks the ball out, and he runs through, scoops it up, and then ran 70 meters to score a try. The referee Ben O'Keefe deemed that Makalu intentionally kicked the ball out of the ruck, and that is apparently illegal. This is actually the first time. Yeah, So basically, if the ball is accidentally kicked out of the ruck, it's okay. But if you deliberately kick the ball out of the ruck, I don't know how you determine deliberate and accidental sometimes. If you deliberately kick it out of the ruck, straight out, that's actually not allowed. So the referee deemed that Makalu was looking down. Therefore, the referee deemed that he was deliberately kicking the ball out. So that was no try. Yeah, so really kind of, lackluster finish to the game there. And the French will have a lot to think about. 27-12, no bonus point. They will still it's not they're not in danger of getting eliminated from the pool. But Uruguay will be looking for a much better performance against Italy next week and potentially getting an upset there. Yeah, anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this game. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for everybody who's helped me financially with donations and Patreon supports. I do appreciate them. And thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you guys a bit later this week for more reviews. And have a good one. And see you guys later. Cheers.